This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Today is Friday, October the 11th, 2024. So glad you could join us here today. Coming up a little later on in the program, we'll talk with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. We have the WASDE report today. We'll get some reactions on what the markets did in response to that. But first, let's go ahead and head out into the field. Andy Peterson had a chance to talk with Beck's agronomist, Lee Koehnigsfeld, to talk about what he's seeing in his neck of the woods.
Nothing better than going out in the field here during harvest season and taking a look around. Lee Koehnigsfeld, our outstanding Northeast Iowa agronomist with our friends at Beck's, to lead our tour here today. And dry weather, Lee, it's crazy. And we've been talking some about the impacts. We continue to find different ones, too, as far as growing season, which is still ongoing. Haven't seen a frost yet. Doesn't look like we're going to here either as we near that average first frost date. So what are you seeing? Soybeans coming out rapidly, I'm sure, and maybe some slowdown on corn harvest progress?
Yeah, so I would say beans have been going very, very hot and heavy for the last couple of weeks. I would say we're well over the halfway mark, probably pushing closer to 75% done on soybeans in Northeast Iowa. But with the heat and lack of moisture, the beans keep getting drier and they keep getting drier. It's amazing how much moisture we can pull out of these darn things. So some of the driest beans that I can remember combining for sure this year. We're starting to see some numbers down in the 7s. I've heard some reports of 6% soybeans coming out of the fields, which I have never witnessed that actually out in the field. So biggest thing for that is just trying to be as cognizant, because obviously the drier we get, the more fragile those pods get, and the more likely they are to start getting a lot of shattering as we start to run the combine through those. So trying to maybe slow that ground speed down a little bit, slow your reel down as much as you possibly can to continue to get it to feed evenly, but to not have those pods start popping open with the reel as much as we can help. And then obviously if you've got a draper head, you're really going to see some advantages to that draper head over the traditional auger heads when we start to get as dry as we are now with some of these soybean moistures. So yeah, and along with that, soybeans being as dusty as they are with no moisture comes soybean dust just building up on absolutely everything on the combines, in the machinery as well too, and just making sure that we do a good job taking our time, blowing equipment off, trying to eliminate as many fire risks as we can, because that's a good way to lose a lot of yield too, is to have a field fire, and we don't want that, and we definitely don't want to start any combines on fire either. So just by kind of being cognizant of doing things safely, blowing off equipment, making sure everything's greased, you don't have bearings getting hot or anything like that, and then trying to manage that harvest speed to shatter out as few beans as possible. On the corn side, we've kind of got a couple different extremes. We've got some of that corn that was in that early planting window. We look at that early to mid-April planting window. A lot of that corn is drier than what guys were expecting it to be going into the field. That's where I'm hearing a lot of reports of corn somewhere in that, I'll say 13 to 15% coming straight out of the field. Which is, it looks a lot healthier and greener from the road, but you get into it and that corn is drier than a lot of guys were expecting. So the lack of moisture, again, pushing that moisture down on that early planted corn a lot faster, I think, what most guys were expecting. Now, obviously we rewind the time clock, we had like a 3-week rain break then after that April timeframe. So we didn't get a lot of planting back going until, I'll say, the second week or end of the first week of May, really. And that corn is still kind of sitting up, a lot of it in the very upper teens to probably mid 20s for moisture. So depending on what your drying situation is, a lot of guys getting into that first to mid-May planted corn, not finding as much dry corn out there to combine. So if they're willing to dry it, maybe they keep going on it or go more slowly through it, not going whole hog, because obviously Mother Nature is providing us with some great drying weather here past couple of weeks, and looks like into at least through the rest of this week as well too. Should be getting some good drying weather as well too.
And you can find the rest of that discussion online at iowaagnet.com. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we're going to visit with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're at the end of the trading day here on this Friday, WASD Day. Curt Kimmel with agmarket.net joining me. Curt, what did we see come out of that grain market today?
Well, the WASD, of course, yield was just a mixed bag in through here. The corn yield just up about 0.2 of a bushel, bean yield down 0.1. Just non-eventful. The big thing on the numbers, the corn that carry out below 2 billion bushels. I think that's kind of constructive from the longer term point of view, as long as demand stays strong. But the bean ending stocks, 550 million bushels. So still got to burst some amount of beans to work with there. The South American crop, we'll watch it here. No adjustments there for the most part until we get more into the growing season. The other thing is we did see egg production on the rise in here. So there should be some pretty good eggs around for everyone. On the week, gave up 9 cents on the corn, 32 cents on the beans, and we gained about 9 cents on the wheat market for the week. On the day, corn was down 2 3/4, beans down 9 1/4. Overall trends just kind of sideways lower in through here. Harvest pressure is coming about. We'll see where we are here next week. But locally here, we're probably good half done on corn and just about done on beans. So we've been enjoying this dry weather here and take advantage of it. Did see a little demand surface here this morning, Dustin. We did sell 132,000 tons of beans to unknown destination. And there was a corn sale that was made earlier, but moved to the U.S. of just a little over 577,000 tons. So demand's coming forward here on these lower price levels.
And demand is something we usually see spike this time of year, is it not, with the harvest?
Yeah, I think they're going to take advantage of it. I think one thing on the livestock side here, before we go into that, is that meals backed off quite a bit through here, and I think your end users are coming forward in through here. The key is we're early in the marketing year, so we got a long ways to go. We'll continue to watch China here. Hopefully we get through the political process here in another month. There will be no upsets there as far as upset the world with our relationships with other countries.
All right, so then hitting over to that livestock side, those cattle and hogs, how did they fare today?
Spread activity for the most part on the day. The D's fats were down 70, but the D's hogs were up 70 on the week. They both held in there for the most part. We did see the report show the overall production numbers on the meat side of the equation. They came in just about what the trade was looking for. Going into next year's, we're looking for fat market cash to be about 187 and the hogs about 58 to 60. So we'll see if these lower feed prices and these prices here keeps everybody in beef business. Export wise, the beef sales were a little weak there yesterday. Pork sales were fairly good for the most part.
All right. Well, if folks want to talk market strategy, maybe think about some of the things they want to set up for the 2025 growing year, how do they get in touch with agmarket.net?
Here locally, 1-800-779-1515. But go to agmarket.net, click on Intel. We'll have a wrap up from the team here this afternoon on what they project to look forward here after we saw today's numbers.
All right. Well, Curt, we thank you so much for the insight and look forward to talking to you again next week.
Very good. Take care.
That again was Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Let's go ahead and take a look at the closing numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen, available 24/7 at iowaagnet.com. At the close, December corn was down 2 3/4 at 4.15 3/4. November beans down 9 1/4, and that it was at 10.05 1/2. Soy meal down $1 at 3.1510 per ton. Soy oil down 43 cents at 43.33. Chicago wheat down 4 3/4. That was at 5.99 even. Kansas wheat down 6 1/2 at 6.04 1/2. Minneapolis spring wheat down 6 1/2 at 6.43 3/4. Oats down 4 1/4 at 3.79 3/4. On the Merc, October live cattle down 57 cents at 188.60. Feeders down 52 cents at 249.75. Lean hogs up 70 cents at 77.65. Pork cutouts up 57 cents at 91.22. And Class 3 milk 8 cents lower at 22.52. And that's been a check of our market recap, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com, including replays of Weekend Ag Matters, the Iowa Ag Matters daily program. You can also find Pods of Potential and much more. iowaagnet.com. From the iAron Studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.